The following is a paid program. Talk 103.7 WTIP and Cable Channel 7 welcome you into Financially Speaking with Jim Taunton. Find us live on radio, TV, the IBX Media app, and on YouTube. Just search Financially Speaking NC or get the link at WTIPFM.com. The opinions expressed in this show are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Genois Wealth Management Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Now, here's your host for Financially Speaking, certified financial advisor, Jim Taunton.
Welcome to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton here, your host for the next 30 minutes. Let me turn my own voice down. It's a little loud in my ears. And I hope you'll be glad when it's all said and done. We have some good information to give you this evening, but man, I'd rather have a phone call. I love it when people ask me questions because I know it's something that they are keenly interested in. And I'd much rather answer their questions about something that's important to them personally. So give me a call. The number is area 252-561-TALK, 561-8255, 561-8255. And as always, if you call me with a question, your name goes into the drawing for the dinner for two at Tavola. I'll even pay the tip. And that's right. This is the only program you'll ever see, I'm sure, that you don't have to answer a question to have a chance to win a prize. You just ask me a question, and you'll have a chance to win a great dinner. Love Tavola. I eat there, I've told you, at least once a week, if not twice. They have a great lunch menu and a dinner menu, locally owned, behind Moe's in the Food Line Shopping Center there next to the bowling alley on Red Banks Road. If you go there because you heard the program, heard it mentioned here, tell them, please. I'd love for you to tell them. Get some kudos that way, some creds. Yeah, got some good information, but call me during this first 2-minute break, and we'll take your call when we come back. And the number again is 561-TALK, 561-8255. I will talk with you again in about 2 minutes.
Aiden Golf and Country Club invites you to become a member. Come tour our beautiful clubhouse, ballroom, and facilities. For a quality golf experience, sign up for our discounted special membership rates, low monthly dues with no quarterly food minimum or assessments. Folks love to play golf at Aiden Golf and Country Club. Cool off at the pool all summer. Enjoy excellent food and beverages from the snack bar. Even store your own cart, unless you like to walk. Call 746-3389 for special limited membership rates at the Aiden Golf and Country Club.
My practice has been built on accessibility, responsiveness, and a willingness to be proactive for my clients. I'm not afraid to make recommendations relating to your investments and planning. I do hope all of your financial decisions are good ones, but let's not rely on hope. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Jim has attained 3 professional designations: Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Life Underwriter, and Chartered Financial Consultant, which entails 20 courses of study with examinations and a comprehensive national board exam, administered by the Certified Financial Planning Board. Jim has been practicing in financial services since 1979, which includes investing, planning, and insurance to help you meet your financial goals. Among the many awards Jim has received in his career is his selection to the Guide of the Top Financial Planners by the Consumer Research Council of America. So if you want to work with someone who is working for you, call Jim at 756-4700 or email him at planning@financiallyspeaking.com. That's 756-4700 and planning@financiallyspeaking.com.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking, and didn't get a text from the producer, so that means we don't have a caller waiting. That's bad. Number is 561-8255, 561-8255. Call me with a question. Your name goes into the drawing for the dinner for two at Tavola. And I would like to make one little comment before we get started with the information. I have actually met with a number of people in the last couple of months at my office who called and asked to see me because they heard me on this program, or either they watched it on YouTube, the YouTube channel, which is J. Taunton Financial NC. I'm sorry, it's not. Forget that. It is financiallyspeakingnc.com. Financiallyspeakingnc.com is the YouTube channel. Anyway, they either heard the radio program or saw it on YouTube, and they called and said, I'd like to talk with you. And it's just so neat. It just gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling when somebody calls, says, look, I heard you on the radio. I just would like to talk with you about some things. And the way I tell it to my office administrator, who doubles as my wife, I say, they heard me on the radio and they still wanted to come in after all that. So, and I'd love to talk with you. I mean, anytime you want to speak with someone about something financially related, first meeting with me is at absolutely no cost or obligation, even if I answer a question for you. Really, I'd love to do that. You know, I'm at the stage of my career, I don't need to make a buck off everybody I talk with. And the fees that we charge for advisor accounts are much lower than industry standard. And that's the reason. I don't need a whole lot of new business to make a good living. So anyway, let me give you some contact information to start with. This is unusual. I normally do it midway or toward the end of the program. But since I'm talking about it, let me go ahead and give it to you. The number at the office is 252-756-4700, 756-4700. And the email address is jtauntonfinancial, Jim@jtauntonfinancial.com. Jim@jtauntonfinancial.com. And you can see over my shoulder there, my right shoulder, how to spell the name. And the website is jtauntonfinancial.com. And you can go there and find out probably much more than you want to find out. Producer says 7 minutes in and no caller. I'm sorry. It's all your fault, Dom. You scared him away. Dom is producing tonight. That's a good thing. Thanks, Dom. All right. Information. Why do a majority of people, and again, in the past, I've said a lot of the fodder for the conversation or information I impart to you, the monologue, comes from real life cases, real life meetings, real life clients, real life situations, and tonight is absolutely no different. And I'll explain. But why do a majority of individuals that retire roll their 401k money from an employer-sponsored plan that is somewhat cheaper than a plan with an advisor? Why would they do that? You know, it's a good question. It is a very good question. And I'm going to answer that question for you. And I've had two, in the last month, I've dealt with two individuals who are doing just that. And I can tell you from those situations, those cases, that they were just great examples of why people move their money from a 401k that is cheaper to an advisory account with an advisor that's a little more expensive. Let me tell you why. Number one, in the last month, again, we had two people that we've dealt with. One of them tried to call on his own to the 401k administrator and order his rollover check. And the first time he called, he got so frustrated that he hung up and waited a couple of weeks to try again. because the people, he couldn't understand them for one thing, and they kept transferring and never got to the right individual. And it was just a horror show. It was a terrible situation. And this is his money that we're talking about, that he's trying to do something with. His money, not a 401k administrator's money, not an employer's money, his money. And the other one, we actually, and I do this quite often with clients, I pulled the phone over on our, in my meeting room on the table there, and we dialed the number, and the client started talking to them and telling them what's for. And he transferred us, or attempted to, and we literally remained on hold for 45 minutes before we got to a warm body that we could talk to and tell them what we were looking for. And in this case, we'd already received one check from a 401k, but we were looking for a cash balance plan check, which was substantial. And this was the money that the gentleman was actually going to draw on for ad hoc needs, and he needed a little bit of that right now, actually. And it had been a month and a half since he originally had sent in the form to get his money from this plan. Think about that. Month and a half. And when he finally got to this warm body, the warm body said, "Yeah, I see here the form came in, and I don't have any explanation, but they just did not process it. Just did not. So I'll expedite that. I'll put a little marker on that file, and then they'll get right to it." Going to be another month. So it'll be at least 2.5 months from the time the gentleman sent in his request for his rollover check from his cash balance plan, and it is his money, not the 401k administrator, not the cash balance administrator, same entity, not the employer's. It is that gentleman's money. And every time he calls, of course, he talks to a different individual. And he was frustrated almost to tears. It was just absurd. Therein lies one of the main reasons why people, and the majority of people that are retired and leave a company, majority of them will roll their money from a 401k to an IRA rollover account working with an advisor, even though it is usually somewhat more expensive internally. So there's one reason, to have somebody that you can sit down with and look eye to eye and talk with and ask questions, and it's the same person every time, not a different person. And it's a person you can actually understand what they're saying, and it's not on the telephone. It's live and in person. All right. The second reason that people move their money, and I say people, majority of employees that leave companies, they'll roll their money from 401ks and other qualified retirement plans. Number two reason, when you roll it, we have unlimited investment options for the money. And if you have a 401k where you work, you understand that typically you will have 10 to 12, sometimes there are more, sometimes there are fewer, but usually around 10 to 12 sub-accounts that you can choose from to place your money in. And you'll put a little percentage in this one, a little percentage in that one, and so forth. And listen, 10 to 12 sub-accounts is not near what you want in options for your money. And most of these 401k sub-accounts are strategically invested, which means they remain 100% invested in whatever the sub-account says it's supposed to be invested in. There's never any changing, never any tactical movements of money. And most of the time, the sub-accounts are not providing you opportunity in some specific markets that sometimes you need a little money in. and sometimes you might want some guarantees associated with your money or associated with your retirement income that you're receiving, which you cannot receive through the 401k administrator. And we do have that option when we roll money from a 401k, and we could do part of it or all of it, whatever the client needs and desires. So yeah, we can mix and match, some providing a guaranteed income, some not. Just depends on what you need. Again, I don't have a cookie cutter approach. I take it one client at a time, and I have always been and am now an independent advisor, an independent financial planner, which means I get paid on a 1099. I don't owe any company anything. There's no product on the shelf. The recommendations are coming from your side of the table, always, when you work with Jim Taunton. All right, so unlimited investment options, including possibly some guaranteed type of instruments. All right, now before I continue, we're about midway through the program, so let's go to another quick break. Call me during this break if you're sitting there with a question. It doesn't have to be about what I'm talking about. Any financially related question, call 561-TALK, 561-8255. We'll take your call first. When we come back from the break, it'll be about 2 minutes. I'll talk to you then.
Aiden Golf and Country Club invites you to become a member. Come tour our beautiful clubhouse, ballroom, and facilities. For a quality golf experience, sign up for our discounted special membership rates, low monthly dues with no quarterly food minimum or assessments. Folks love to play golf at Aiden Golf and Country Club. Cool off at the pool all summer. Enjoy excellent food and beverages from the snack bar. Even store your own cart, unless you like to walk. Call 746-3389 for special limited membership rates at the Aiden Golf and Country Club.
My practice has been built on accessibility, responsiveness, and a willingness to be proactive for my clients. I'm not afraid to make recommendations relating to your investments and planning. I do hope all of your financial decisions are good ones, but let's not rely on hope. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Jim has attained 3 professional designations: Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Life Underwriter, and Chartered Financial Consultant, which entails 20 courses of study with examinations and a comprehensive national board exam, administered by the Certified Financial Planning Board. Jim has been practicing in financial services since 1979, which includes investing, planning, and insurance to help you meet your financial goals. Among the many awards Jim has received in his career is his selection to the Guide of the Top Financial Planners by the Consumer Research Council of America. So if you want to work with someone who is working for you, call Jim at 756-4700 or email him at planning@financiallyspeaking.com. That's 756-4700 and planning@financiallyspeaking.com.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton here. Don't have a caller, so we'll continue. I wanted to mention, though, next week we have another guest. Jim is going nuts with his guests. We had a great guest 2 or 3 weeks ago, Lunt Capital, John Lunt. Next week, we're going to have Paul Knipping. Paul Knipping is a chartered financial analyst, one of 2 with Genius Wealth Management, which is the broker-dealer through which I do investment product. And he and the other CFA, Westroad, they actually manage multiple accounts, multiple strategies that are on my advisory platform, which I do utilize. And they do a bang-up job. And we're going to talk markets with him and investing. And it should be very interesting. So you need to stay tuned next week to listen to Paul. And if you missed the program, again, it'll be archived on the YouTube channel, and you can always watch it after the fact and pick up what Paul is laying down. All right. Thirdly, why do the majority of people that retire roll their 401ks or other qualified retirement plans to a rollover account with an advisor, even though it is normally slightly more expensive. And slightly is just relative. It just depends on the situation. I can't give you a number because every time it could be a little different. Thirdly, many people want holistic planning, holistic financial planning. And if you work with a certified financial planner like myself, that's exactly what you can get. And what I mean by holistic planning, we look at everything that makes you what you are financially. When we do a financial plan, it looks at your cash flow, your net worth, your insurance needs, your retirement, of course, your estate planning, which retirees are typically thinking about. Try to do an estate plan on the phone with someone. Ain't gonna happen. And I conducted estate planning seminars with a local attorney, and his name is Micah Ball. He's with Colombo Kitchen Dunn and Ball. They're considered, I think, one of the better estate planning firms, probably east of Raleigh. And Micah Ball and I conducted those seminars at the Washington Civic Center for about 5 years. And so I know estate planning. He knows estate planning. He's the attorney I bring to the table when it's time to create documents. But before then, I actually make recommendations to the client about what needs to take place. So holistic planning, everything. And that's people are looking for that. And you're not going to get that from a voice on the phone. So therein lies another reason why majority of people roll their money from a 401k or other qualified retirement plan to a rollover account with an advisor and pay a little more because they're getting a lot more when they do that. All right. Fourthly, they want consolidation. They want simplification. And if I have a client, I'm already handling some non-qualified investments for that client, or I may be handling some IRAs for that client already. They want to be able to consolidate that 401k or other qualified retirement plan with all those other assets so that when I pull up a report on the screen and we do a review, it has everything they have in invested liquid money on that screen. Much easier to make decisions that way. All right, fifthly, control. Control. You just don't feel like you're in control when your money is still off somewhere at a 401k administrator's in their coffers, and you're having to call a number and be on hold for 45 minutes and talk to a stranger, someone you might not be able to understand very well. It just doesn't work well. You know, I'm reminded of a story. I actually have this story on my website, I believe, used to anyway. Many years ago, gosh, it's probably been 25, 30 years. We had just finished a home. Actually, it was in Windsor Subdivision here in Greenville on Bishop Drive. And we had moved in just a day or two prior. And I decided that I wanted a little change in the plumbing upstairs in the shower and thought I knew what I was doing. Bottom line is, ultimately, I had water running through my brand new garage ceiling onto the floor there from the bathroom upstairs. And I'm frantic. I don't know where the shut-off valve is. I can't find it. So I have to go out to the street to the main water shut-off, and it's dark. And I take the lid off of it. I've got flashlights. You have to have a couple of wrenches. If you know what I'm talking about, you have to hook them together to be able to turn that nut to close off the water. And it's full of mud, just stinky mud. So I'm having to get my hands in there and pull some of the mud out so I can find the nut. It was just a terrible situation. Water running through my ceiling onto the floor. Okay, during all that, my family became quite curious as to what I was doing. So they all came outside, which was fine, except they locked the door behind them. So when I finally got the water shut off, we walked into the garage and I turned the doorknob, and lo and behold, it's locked. All the keys are inside. Guess what? I had to break the glass in my brand new door. When I reached in, I cut myself. I had blood running down my arm through the stinky mud off of my elbow. It was like something you'd see on a comedy show. And at that point, I said, you know what? From now on, I will write a check for the plumbing and electrical work, because that is not my forte. I'm not an expert in that field. And it's going to cost me more than I was trying to save doing it myself. So, the little bitty jobs, I can change a floater in a tank and a toilet seat and that sort of thing. I mean, I can do that. But if the job is even slightly out of my or above my pay grade, I'm going to write a check and get somebody that knows what they're doing. And you know what? Financial planning and the investment of your nest egg is a big job. It's a very important job. And you need to pay somebody a little bit to do it for you, that knows what they're doing, that can provide and add logic and reason to the decision-making process. Because you're going to be emotional, because it's your situation, it's your money, it's your planning. You're going to be emotional. I'm not. I'm going to add logic and reason, and that's it. I'm going to look from the financial and economic side of the equation. And if you want to add a little emotion to it, that's fine, but and you and I will be in control. You and I will be in control. And if something hits you, where the buck stops with Jim. You sit down with Jim, and Jim, what happened here? You said this and that, and it's this and that and the other. And we'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it. I've built my practice on accessibility and responsiveness. And you could ask any client that I have, Jim is accessible and responsive. You will be able to get me if you need me, and I'll take care of whatever it is that needs to be taken care of. All right, let's move on from that subject. Let's talk about gifts. Let's see. Where are we? What time is it? 6:28. Good googa-mooga. Yeah, I am not going to have time to get into this, but I'm going to save this for next week, because I've had several occasions where people have asked me in the last few weeks about gifting, more times than not gifting to their children. How much can I give? What will the effect? How much taxes will I have to pay? Now, what I'm going to tell you about gifting is going to shock you in a good way, but it's going to shock you. Now, I won't be able to do it next week because we've got a great guest lined up, but it'll be 2 weeks from now. But listen, if I just rung a bell with you, you need to call me or email me immediately, and let's talk. Don't wait for me to cover it on a radio program. Email again is jim@jtauntonfinancial.com. Phone number is 756-4700. Contact me. Let's talk about it. And we'll get you correct information. If I don't know something, I certainly know a source that can give us a correct answer. All right, I have music in my ear. It means we're out of time, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. I really do. That's the sole purpose. I don't need to do this show for marketing purposes. I really don't. Everybody around here knows what I do for a living, but I just enjoy teaching. All right, as always, this is Jim Taunton helping you make all of your financial decisions good ones. Good night, everybody.